So we're interested in that shift from servant to slave because by the end of the 17th century, we are a society that is based on racial slavery. But at the beginning of the colonies, we said that society didn't exist, that the labor system was one of indentured servants. So what we want to figure out is where that shift happens. And Mary Johnson, she really shows that this takes place over a lifetime, right? That this doesn't just happen all at once. There's a documentary series that includes some discussion of her life, and one historian said that it is one person at a time, one law at a time. And that's a good way to think of this shift from servant to slavery, is because sometimes in the exact same place, one person's being treated one way and the other person's being treated the other way. John Punch and Anthony Johnson are good examples of this. So again, Mary Johnson shows us that this shift from servant to slave, it's going to take a lifetime. It doesn't happen just like that. It's over the course of about 40 to 70 years. So let's see, Mary Johnson. I gave you a website to look at too that has several sections and it explains parts of her story and then kind of unpacks the documents. So look at that as well. But I wanted to kind of give you also a video to kind of put alongside that site. So she comes here. Again, status is difficult to determine because these words are used in different ways, but as servant, appears to be coming here as an indigent servant. She'll serve her time. She'll get her freedom dues. She'll marry another man who would come here most likely as a servant. He served his time. He got his freedom dues. His name was Anthony Johnson. So Mary marries Anthony Johnson. This is Mary Johnson. They now have between themselves, a good 100 or so acres of land because of those freedom dues. They will purchase head rights of 5 other individuals. Some of these individuals are white and some of them are black. So now they have several hundred acres of land and they're living like any other planter in Virginia, except as I guess maybe I haven't said, they are people of color. And so, again, it's not clear that we're headed down this path of racial slavery because here are Anthony and Mary Johnson, people of color, and they're living their life like any other person in 17th century Virginia. Then we're going to talk about the titleable laws. Give you another video that'll look at that, and your book considers the titleable laws too. These are going to start to set out essentially white privilege. And we'll see that the Johnsons actually get like exemptions from the titleable laws. So that almost, again, seems to show that these rules aren't like completely determined right as they're being made. Again, this is one person at a time, one law at a time. And it's not, it's another way to think about it is it's one link in a chain at a time, because the people that are in it perhaps don't see this endpoint that we can see is going to happen. So at some point the Johnsons will leave Virginia, and their land, there'll be land that's left in Virginia. They'll head to Maryland. There's land that's left in Virginia. And Anthony Johnson dies, and the family attempts to reclaim the land that was in Virginia. And this is now by the end of the 17th century. And the Virginia court claims that that land is not available to the Johnsons, even though they owned it. But it's not theirs because Anthony Johnson was, quote, Negro and by consequence an alien. Basically, because he's black, he does not get the land. He does not have ownership. He is not seen as a citizen. So when you think about that, that's the whole scope of a person's life. At the start here, Johnson came here as a black man, served as a servant, this time got his freedom dues, became a landowner, had other servants. Some of them were black, some of them were white. but then by the end, if the landowner actually had exemptions for taxes, but then by the end of his life, that land can no longer be his because he was black. And so again, the Johnson family shows that this takes place over the course of a lifetime. This shift from servant to slave. Where we are at the beginning of the 1600s is not where we are by the end. And that's what we're going to kind of trace throughout this lecture, so we can start to kind of see those links in the chain. All right, you've got the website that also kind of outlines the Johnsons, including Mary. So definitely look over that website and kind of read over those sections that deal with the ways in which they're functioning in Virginia. If you have questions, you can leave those in the discussion module. Take care.